Hey guys, my name is Alexis Law, and I'm going to be giving you the rundown on cellular respiration. Cellular respiration, which is also referred to as aerobic respiration, is the enzymatic breakdown of glucose, which is C6H12O6, in the presence of oxygen to produce cellular energy, which is ATP. The equation for cellular respiration is C6H12O6, glucose, plus 6 oxygen, which yield to make 6 carbon dioxide, 6 waters, and 38 ATP. How does it work, you ask? Well, I'm going to tell you. There are 3 stages of cellular respiration. The first one, glycolysis. The second one, the Krebs cycle, also known as the TCA cycle. And the third one, the electron transport system. The first stage, glycolysis, literally means the breakdown of sugars. It is a 10-step process that occurs in a cytoplasm. It converts each molecule of glucose into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid, which is just a 3-carbon molecule. This process is an anaerobic process, which means it does not have to have oxygen present to do anything, so oxygen is not required whatsoever. This has a net yield of 2 ATP per glucose molecule. It also has a net yield of 2 NADH per glucose, and NADH is just a coenzyme that serves as a carrier for hydrogen ions that are liberated as glucose is oxidized. This pyruvic acid diffuses into the inner compartment of the mitochondrion, where a transition reaction occurs, and this serves to prepare the pyruvic acid for entry into the next stage of respiration. So it goes, the pyruvic acid yields to make acetic acid, carbon dioxide, which is just a waste product of a cell metabolism, and NADH. Then this acetic acid comes together with coenzyme A to make acetyl-CoA. The next stage is the Krebs cycle, or TCA. It occurs in the inner mitochondrial matrix. The acetyl group detaches from the coenzyme A and enters the reaction cycle. This is an aerobic process, and this means it will only happen if oxygen is there. And it has a net yield of 2 ATP per glucose per 2 acetyl-CoA. It has a net yield of 6 NADH and 2 FADH. And FAD just serves the same purpose as NAD. And in this stage of cellular respiration, the oxidation of glucose to CO2 is completed. The next and final stage of cellular respiration is the electron transport system. During this stage, 6 waters are formed when the electrons unite with oxygen at the end of the transport change. This is the same function of oxygen in all living organisms. This stage consists of a series of enzymes on the inner mitochondrial membrane. The electrons are released from NADH and from FADH, and as they are passed along the series of enzymes, they give up energy which is used to fuel a process called chemiosmosis, by which hydrogen ions are actively transported across the inner mitochondrial membrane into the outer mitochondrial compartment. The hydrogen ions then flow back through special pores in the membrane, and this process is thought to drive ATP synthesis. And this third stage has a net yield of 34 ATP, which is where all the 38 come in. There are a few other things that can be used as energy sources for cellular respiration: glucose, fat, and protein. Everything I spoke about before describes the process of carbohydrate catabolism for the production of ATP, which is glucose. When glucose is in adequate supply, such as shortly after you eat something, The hormone insulin from the pancreas increases glycogen formation, which is called glycogenesis in the liver. When glucose levels drop between meals, the hormone glucagon is released from the pancreas and stimulates the conversion of glycogen into glucose by the process of glycogenolysis. If all glycogen supplies are depleted, then other substances in the body are converted into glucose, or an intermediate product that can enter the above outlined cellular respiration pathway. The conversion of fatty acids or lipids or amino acids from proteins into glucose is called gluconeogenesis. Fats or lipids are stored in adipose tissue. These stored fat molecules are synthesized in the body from the breakdown products of fat digestion, like glycerol and fatty acids, in the process known as lipogenesis. When needed as an energy source, the fat reserves are mobilized, moved out of adipose tissue, and broken down into glycerol and fatty acids in the liver by the process of lipolysis. Glycerol is changed into one of the intermediate products of glycolysis, so it enters the cellular respiration pathway. Fatty acids are changed into a series of reactions called beta oxidation into acetyl-CoA molecules, which enter the cell metabolism at the Krebs cycle. When fats are being used as the primary energy source, such as when you're starving yourself or you're fasting or you have untreated diabetes, an excess amount of acetyl-CoA is produced, and this is converted into acetone and ketone bodies. This reduces the sweet smell of acetone on the breath, which you usually notice in someone who's in a diabetic state. Proteins are used as an energy source only if protein intake is high or if glucose and fat sources are depleted, in which case the amino acids from protein are broken down and converted into molecules that can enter the Krebs cycle. These molecules are produced by two categories of reactions that alter the structure of amino acids. The first one, it could be the transamination, which it transfers an amino group from one amino acid to another, or it could be deamination, which removes an amino group from an amino acid. As they accumulate, the amino